Hey there, my name is Terry with True Marie Soapworks, and today I'm going to share with you my experience with the Impression Mat Soap Challenge. The soap challenge is hosted by Amy Warden, and if you'd like more details, please check the description below. Just a heads up, this is not a step-by-step tutorial. This is just hanging out with me while I make my soap and seeing what decisions I made. I will give a little commentary along the way and tell you what I would have done differently. If you do have any questions, please just drop them in the comments. When I started this challenge, I had planned on using my slab mold, and I had two different impression mats, and I needed to decide which impression mat to use and also which color to use, so I did some testing. When I cut the large mats to fit my large slab mold, I had some extra pieces left over, so I cut those to fit my small cavity molds that I would be doing the testing in. I decided to test a total of 6 colors, so each of the cavity molds would have one of each color. And since that requires me to make mini batches for each of the colors, I decided to go ahead and test 6 new fragrances as well. Off camera, I tested my first round of 6 colors, and I really wish I would have recorded it for you because I really love the results. From that, I decided to change my plan. Instead of going with my large slab mold with one color and several bars, which seems kind of boring, I decided to go with the 6 colors in the individual cavity mold. Just a little side note here, if I were doing this for mass production, obviously I wouldn't do all these little single color batches. I would use my big slab mold and make several bars of one color. But since this is for the soap challenge, and the object of the soap challenge is really showing that flawless impression, I needed to have my base be a solid color, I think, to really show off that impression without being too busy. So since I've established that I really like the idea of having a solid color base, I thought in order to keep this interesting, it would be great just to use several different colors, and that way it really shows off the impression without being busy, but you have a little interest with the other colors. Now you're up to speed and you're joining me with the second batch. I'm preparing the colors. I have tweaked them a little bit from the first batch, but don't worry, you will see the first batch later on. The main thing I did when I changed the colors from the first batch to the second was that I swapped out the blue for an orange because the blue was so close to the turquoise. Later on in this video, I will give you the usage rate and the colorants that I use for most of these colors. Now that I've finished mixing up my colors, I'm ready to start my main batch. First, I measured out the water in the distilled water ice cubes, and then I measured out the sodium hydroxide. Next, I combined those by adding the sodium hydroxide to the water, and I stirred that until the sodium hydroxide is dissolved, and I set that aside in a well-ventilated area. In the meantime, I measured the sodium lactate, and I set that aside with my lye solution. Next, I measure out the oils that are hard at room temperature, and I gently melt those. In the meantime, I measure out the kaolin clay. I'm using that at a rate of 1 teaspoon per pound of oils, and I like to use it in designs like this where I don't need the batter to stay fluid for a long time. Next, I measure the shea butter, and then I'm measuring the liquid oils. After that, I add the kaolin clay to the liquid oils and I let it sink to the bottom. Next, I'm adding the shea butter to the melted oils. I'm breaking it up a bit so that it's a little easier to melt. If it's in bigger pieces, the temperature usually has to get a little higher to melt it, and I like to keep my temperatures low when I'm melting shea butter, but I want it melted completely. Now that most of that kaolin clay has sunk to the bottom, I am able to stick blend. I make sure that I don't add any bubbles as I'm stick blending, and I stick blend as much as I want until that kaolin clay is completely incorporated. When I'm done incorporating that, I go ahead and add it to the melted oils and butter combination, and I get ready to split it off. Since I'm making individual mini batches, I am splitting off the oils separate from the lye solution. I have to figure out the weight of the oils, the bowl and the contents, and then I subtract off the weight of the bowl and I get the contents weight. And I do the same for the lye solution. And when I have the contents weight of each of those, I do the math and multiply by the percentages that I need to get what I need to split it off individually. In this case, I use 4% for the white and I use 16% for each of the 6 colors. I divide the lye solution into these polypropylene cups. I bought these cups for soap making, and these cups are now dedicated to soap making use only. The colors of the cups worked well to kind of color code this batch, and you can see off camera I have everything staged. I have the oils and the lye solution, and then I have the fragrance measured and also the color ready to go. I'm always looking for fragrances that are well behaved in cold process soap, and I had a chance to test some fragrances from Majestic Mountain Sage. I can report to you that they all worked out well in my first test, and I will have more information while I'm beveling the soap. But as you can see, I used the yellow fragrance for the yellow soap just to bolster the yellow a little instead of using it for a cool color soap and having it clash with the color and pulling it more toward a gray color. Okay, now it's time for that small white batch. This is what I'm using to cover the impression mats. There's no need to use fragrance for this small batch, but for the white I'm using 1 teaspoon per pound of oils. Since this is a small batch, I can't use my stick blender like I normally do, so I use this frother. Again, this is dedicated to soap making. My goal here is to get this to about medium trace, and I'm trying not to whip in any air bubbles. At this point, I have my batter to the consistency I like. Now it's time to inspect my mat and see if I can find any little bits of fuzz or dust on my mat, because if I don't get it now, it will be on the top of my soap. Now that I'm satisfied with my mats being clean, it's time to slather that white soap batter onto my impression mats. I like to use a palette knife for this, but you can use a spatula or whatever works for you, but I make sure I get the batter into all the little nooks and crannies. Once you're happy that the batter is in all the little crevices, it's important to scrape off the excess batter. In this case, I'm talking about the high points of the mat. That is the part where you see the pink showing through. Those high points will be the low points of your design, and later that will be where you see the colored batter peeking through. So this is a good time to have attention to detail, because whatever white batter you leave there will cover up any of the other colored batter that is underneath it. Then once you've slipped your impression mats into the mold, it's important to inspect the sides of the cavity to make sure that there's no excess white on there. It takes a little time, but you'll be glad you did, because otherwise you'll have streaks of white on the side of your soap bar. If you like these impression mats as much as I do, I have pinned them in my Amazon storefront for your convenience. I also have many other tools that are my favorites, so check that out in the description below if you're interested. These impression mats are large when you get them, so they will need to be cut down to the size of your mold. I have a video on that if you're interested, where I fit the impression mat to the size of the slab mold. And as I said earlier, these little mats are only the scraps of what I had left over after I fit the impression mat to my large slab mold. So check out that video if you need to cut your impression mat down to size. Now that the impression mats are prepared, it's time to mix up the batter for each of the colors. Instead of mixing up one color, bringing it to trace and pouring it, I am mixing all of the colored batters, and I'm keeping an eye on them. Because I'm testing fragrances, I'm not sure how the fragrances will react and if they will cause acceleration, so I'm just stirring them as I go along and seeing what happens, and I'm ready to pour whichever one accelerates first. After I had all the colors mixed up and after stirring each one of the batters, I felt like the pink was definitely ready to go, and I thought it didn't require any stick blending. It seemed like it was traced, but if you look really closely here, you can see the edge of the spatula and it looks gritty rather than smooth. That was my mistake. This batter felt thick. It seemed like it had trace, but it was a false trace. At the point I poured the pink batter, I had instant regret. I felt like I should have taken it out of the mold and stick blended it, but that would have required me also to redo the impression mats, so I just let it ride. But in hindsight, that batter was not emulsified at the point I poured it into the mold. So make note of that for later when you see how these pink bars came out. For each of the remaining colors, I did learn my lesson and I stick blended them a little bit before adding them to the mold. Once the batter was in the mold, I oven processed these. That usually helps the color to get a little stronger depending on which color it is, and it also helps the bar harden up a little more quickly. To oven process, I turned the oven on the lowest setting and let it preheat for just a short time, and then I put the trays in the oven and I turned the oven off and turned the oven light on. And at the point I'm going to bed at night, I'll turn the oven light off and let it come to room temperature naturally. I let this sit in the mold for 3 days. I wouldn't have had to, but I just got busy. So 3 days later, I removed the impression mats. And I have to say, this is the most satisfying part of making impression mat soap. Notice how the pink one came out. It's rather ugly underneath. The batter wasn't emulsified and therefore it got a lot of soda ash throughout the bar. Even the color was affected. If you look at the color of the first pink I did, they should be very similar, but they're not because of that lack of emulsification of the batter. So because of that, and in general, I just like the colors better from this first batch. This is the one I decided to focus on for the soap challenge. I'm still pretty new to using this beveling tool from Marina of Creamy Obsession. I'm getting the hang of it, but this is a little more complicated because you don't want to mar the top of your soap because that's where the pretty design is. So I had to be very careful and I took it really slowly. Ideally, you would want to wait a long time before you use the beveler. In this case, I waited 6 days, which was all right, but if you're doing a lot of them, I would suggest just waiting till the soap is cured or waiting a couple of weeks before you do the beveling, and that way you're not going to mess up the top. Earlier I mentioned that I would share the results of the fragrances that I tested from Majestic Mountain Sage, and I can report to you that none of the fragrances that I tested accelerated. So let's get into what fragrances I tested. Before we get into that, I want to just do a little disclaimer that my sense of smell is not very strong, so I'll do my best, but I won't be mentioning a whole lot about this scent unless there's something that stands out to me. You may be curious about some of the colors I used and the usage rates, and where I can I will try to help you out, but some of them are my own mixes and they're just a little too difficult to explain here, and that would be the turquoise and the green, and so I won't go into those, but the other ones I will try to get you as close as possible. Keep in mind that I have a colorant calculator on my website, so you can just plug in some numbers and get out the amount of colorant that you need to use. Okay, let's get to the results of the testing. Like I said, the turquoise is my own blend of color, so we will jump right into the fragrance. And the fragrance I used for this one is called Forks, and I really do like how this one came out. It's a masculine fragrance. It smells very fresh, but kind of herbal. It's very good. Okay, for the next one, we have the purple, and for that I used Jam Session from Nurture Handmade. I used 0.7 teaspoons per pound of oils, and I also used 0.25 teaspoons per pound of oils of titanium dioxide. As for the fragrance, I used white sage, and let me tell you that it's a strong fragrance, so I tested it at 4%, and I could take that down definitely, but it's a strong fragrance, so you get a lot of bang for your buck, and you don't need to use very much. Okay, let's get into the green. This is a combination of several colors, so I'm not going to get into that, but I want to share with you the fragrance that I tested with this. It's called Green Tea and Cucumber, and I do very much like it, but I do tend to like green fragrances. If you're familiar with Brambleberry's Wasabi, which I think is discontinued, and also their Green Fig, which is discontinued as well, I really liked those, and I would put this in that same category. So if you like green fragrances, you probably like this. There's some cucumber fragrances that I strongly dislike, and this is not one of them. This is very pleasing to my nose. Okay, since we've already done the purple, let's talk about the orange that I used in the batch you saw. That orange is called Electric Orange, and it is from Nurture Handmade. I used it at a rate of 1 teaspoon per pound of oil, and I also used titanium dioxide at a rate of 0.125 teaspoons per pound of oil. The fragrance that I tested with the orange batch is called Blood Orange and Thyme. It's very sweet and herbal and a little subtle, but it's very pleasing. You may be noticing some soda ash on the sides of these bars. The way I got rid of that was I used the sandpaper method that I showed in the Kiss Pour video, so if you're interested, check that out. Okay, now we're on to the yellow. I love this yellow. This is a colorant that was discontinued, but it's very similar to the True Yellow from TKB Trading. I used it at a rate of 0.25 teaspoons per pound of oils, and then I also used half a teaspoon per pound of oils of titanium dioxide. The fragrance I tested with this yellow is called Energy. Many of you are probably familiar with Energy fragrances. I do like the one from Majestic Mountain Sage better than a lot of them. Many of the ones I tested to my nose have a chemical smell, and this one does not. And in the bar, it has a pretty sweet, subtle citrus fragrance, but that tends to happen with citrus fragrances. Another fragrance that I tested on that second batch that's not shown here is one called Gladiator. I used that with my turquoise on the second batch. I usually like men's fragrances, but I wasn't a big fan of this one. I can't really tell you what it was about it, but it wasn't my favorite. Coming up next, I use Caribbean Blue from Nurture Handmade, and I used it at 0.75 teaspoons per pound of oils, and also titanium dioxide at a rate of 0.25 teaspoons per pound of oils. The fragrance that I tested is called Jacob, and it's a masculine fragrance. I like it very much. For the last color, we have pink, and I used Fired Up Fuchsia from Brambleberry for that. I used it at a rate of 0.75 teaspoons per pound of oils, and I brightened it with a little titanium dioxide. I used that at a rate of 0.25 teaspoons per pound of oils. The fragrance I tested with this one is called Sea Salt. It's a little subtle, but it's very nice. Thank you so much for being here today and sticking it out to the end of the video, and thank you for all the ways that you support me, whether it's buying my soap or buying my recipes or leaving a little comment or subscribing. I do really appreciate it, and I will see you back here next time.